My name is Jack, and I'm a 32-year-old architect living in Denver, Colorado. This is my story. Emily and I appeared to have the kind of life most people could only envy. I was the husband everyone respected, diligent, compassionate, and endlessly devoted to my wife. Together we seemed to complement one another flawlessly. From lazy weekend breakfasts to warm evenings curled up watching movies, our bond was visible to anyone who looked. Even after 6 years of marriage, my gaze would linger on Emily with the same tenderness and admiration I had shown on our wedding day. I was convinced I knew her inside and out, certain we were destined soulmates. But with time, subtle changes began to slip into our marriage. Emily, once eager to share every detail of her day, started to withhold pieces of herself. Her laughter became less frequent. Her eyes wandered and her presence felt distant even when she was right beside me. I tried to reassure myself that it must be the stress of her new, demanding marketing job with its endless hours and frequent trips. Still, a sense of unease gnawed at me, an undercurrent I couldn't quiet. The first undeniable crack appeared one Friday evening. Emily was heading out for a girls' night, and I encouraged her to enjoy herself. But as the night dragged on and her messages dwindled to almost nothing, an uneasy knot tightened in my stomach. When she finally returned late, smelling faintly of men's cologne, and looking more disheveled than expected after an outing with friends, a flash of suspicion flared inside me, yet I forced myself to push it aside, unwilling to become the kind of husband who doubted his wife without proof. Until now, Emily had never given me a reason not to trust her. 2 weeks later, the second sign revealed itself. I was folding laundry beside her when her phone buzzed. A message flashed across the screen from an unknown number. Last night was unforgettable. When can we do it again? I froze, my chest tightening as though I'd been struck, forcing myself to remain composed. I set the clothes down gently. Emily, catching my expression, quickly snatched her phone and dismissed the text with a forced smile. Just a silly client joke. Don't think anything of it. I managed to smile back, but inside my mind reeled. Doubt had rooted itself deeply, impossible to ignore. From that moment on, every quirk, every habit I once adored in Emily, felt like a clue to something hidden. I grew quieter, more guarded, studying her with a watchful eye. The truth unraveled on a stormy Saturday evening. Emily told me she had to stay late at work again. I kissed her goodbye, as always, but the weight of suspicion was too heavy to ignore. On impulse, I grabbed my keys and followed her at a distance, my headlights dimmed. Her car led me across town to a small, dimly lit bar. I parked out of view and watched. A tall man with dark hair greeted her warmly at the door, grinning as Emily stepped from her car and wrapped her arms around him. In that instant, my world collapsed, frozen in my seat. I watched as the woman I loved laughed and disappeared inside with another man. The sight seared into my memory, a nightmare made real. I sat for a long time, numb, before finally driving home to an empty house. Rage, heartbreak, and disbelief swirled together, dulled only by the numbness creeping in. I poured myself drink after drink, each sip blurring the pain just enough to think clearly. I knew there was no fixing what had been broken. The woman I had cherished was gone, replaced by someone unrecognizable. But instead of exploding in anger or confrontation, I chose another path. I would let Emily taste the consequences of her betrayal. Over the next week, I carried out my plan with deliberate precision. I quietly transferred every penny from our joint accounts into a private one only I could access. Bit by bit, I packed my belongings, careful not to leave a trace of my intentions. I arranged to work remotely, coordinating discreetly with my boss, and prepared to vanish without warning. Emily would return one day to nothing but emptiness. The night before my departure, I booked a hotel suite nearby. I knew she would likely be with her lover, which only steeled my resolve. While Emily was gone, I executed my plan flawlessly. On the kitchen counter, I left a single note with 3 sharp words: I know everything. After one final sweep of the house, now stripped of my presence, I closed the door and walked away, leaving behind only silence and shadows. At the hotel with a whiskey in hand, I stared at the clock, imagining the moment she would return home. The shock, the panic, the realization of what she had lost. I hoped she would feel just a fraction of the torment she had caused. At dawn, Emily stumbled inside, the scent of another man still clinging to her clothes. She called for me, expecting me upstairs, but silence echoed back. Her eyes fell on the note. Panic surged as she tore through the house, only to find half-empty drawers, bare closets, and even our wedding photos gone. She called me again and again, but each call went straight to voicemail. Her frantic, tearful messages went unanswered. I was gone. In the days that followed, her desperation grew. She reached out to my friends, contacted my family, and even appeared at my workplace, only to learn I had relocated to a remote position and disappeared from the area. Each unanswered attempt chipped away at her, leaving her suffocated by regret. The man she had betrayed me for quickly lost his shine, the fantasy unraveling into disappointment. Alone, Emily was left with nothing but the ruins of the life she had destroyed. Meanwhile, I began a new life in another city, surrounded by strangers. I built a fresh existence step by step, finding peace and direction again. Looking back,